Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be discussing all of the Jefferson nickel proof errors that you want to be on the lookout for. There's a good amount of them, and essentially what they are, they're slight varieties on these coins that are going to make them significantly more valuable than their regular counterparts. I've got photos of every single one of them, and I'll be walking you through them, explaining what to look for, and then we'll talk about the values based off of, is it a proof 65 versus a 67, for example. And there's a lot to know, so let's get right into it and get you the full coverage. Head to the presentation. And here's our first proof Jefferson nickel error, and we're going to be taking a look at some re-engraving, especially in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. There are a fair amount of this type of variety, but this is what Jefferson's normal ribbon that's on the obverse of the coin will look like. And then over here, it's been re-engraved by the, into the die to make it stronger, and it appears much more pronounced into the into Jefferson's body. And so that's where we can see, normally it's kind of thin at the bottom. Here it's very sharp and pronounced. And there's also a re-engraving in the trust, especially in the S. It looks like doubling, but it's not. It's more of just a stronger S and just stronger lettering all throughout. And this is worth about $225 in Proof 65 and $600 in Proof 67. So it's a pretty good one to be on the lookout for. There's also some errors with the 1939 Jefferson nickel, or again, more of a variety, but basically you want to look for the reverse of 1940, where the steps on the reverse of the coin are more clearly engraved, especially on the sides of the steps. It's much stronger in terms of being separated from the main steps, whereas normally it should have the reverse of 1938, which will be a lot softer. And this is about $2,250 coin, so definitely one to be on the lookout for. And then reverse, or likewise, 1940, those proof nickels have reverse of 1938 errors where they don't have the strong steps, and that's what you're going to want to be looking for. Not the regular 1940 with the strong steps, but you want to be searching for the weak sides of the steps. This is going to be worth $300 in Proof 65 and $1,250 in Proof 67, so definitely another one to be searching for. When we go to the 1951 coin, this one is going to be a double die obverse, and it's clear in the In God We Trust. That trust lettering, strong separation to the sides on the left of each letter, especially big bar in the T, big bar in the R. Proof 65, $100. Proof 67, $200. So still some solid value, though not, a little more modest compared to some of the other ones. 1952, we start another trend of re-engraved errors. As you can see, a normal 1952, the ribbon is hardly, it's present, but it's hardly there. There's much stronger re-engraved kind of sharp ribbons. There's 3 different types, and each one is worth between $125 and $325. So again, a real, re-engraving to look for. It doesn't make sense to me that this is so expensive, but it's still a good one to search. 1953, there's a double die obverse that's pretty clear. Some of the future ones are going to be a little bit less clear when we see them, but you can see the split serifs in the tops of the U's, and the bottoms of the R, a little bit of some bars in the S, and this is between 100 in Proof 65 and 210 in Proof 67. There's also re-engraved ribbons, except this one, it almost looks like it's sharper in the normal ribbon, but it's more in this bottom section of the ribbon that's clearly carved out. But the values do decrease on this relative to some of the other ones. This is a $50 to $200 coin. When we get to 1954, the re-engraving is going to be really sharp when it is present, and the values are 100 and 350, which is a little bit more than in the past, even though it's a newer coin. And you can see how it clearly goes all throughout the ribbon into the body and his clothes, as opposed to before, where there's not really much at the bottom part connecting into the body. 1955, there's a triple die reverse, and I think the best place to look for it, there's some extra spread in the L and more extra thickness in the O, but also in the bottom of America, you can see in the R, in the C, in the A, there's just a lot of clear separation all along those lines. $50 for Proof 65 and $80 for Proof 67. And then in 1956, we have a quadruple die reverse. This is one of the ones where I think it's tougher to tell. It's significantly thicker than average. And then in the T, it looks like there's a bunch of split serifs, just small little ones on top of each other. but a lot of extra thickness as well. This is $60 to $200. 1957, we also have a quadruple die obverse this time though, and I think that there's some clear separation in the 9 and the 5, and especially you can see the different lines of the star. And that one is a little more valuable, $75 for Proof 65 and $350 for Proof 67, but definitely a great coin to look for, as is the 1960. And this is, again, a little bit more challenging, though this one commands a lot of money if you can find it. And I think the best way to look for it is going to be in the M and the base there. It looks like there's a bunch of different split parts of the M. This one in Proof 65 is $225, and Proof 67 is $750, as I mentioned, so very expensive. Then there's the 1961 triple die reverse, and it's nice to have them clustered. It's a lot easier to find proof sets from like 1958 and on, 1956 and on maybe, so it's good that there's some in those. And I think that we can see this one, it's a little bit more challenging to see, but a little bit in the C. And as I'm looking at it, it's not like super easy. It looks like there's a little bit of a split serif in the bottom of the I, but it's pretty expensive at about $175 for Proof 65 and $650 for Proof 67. 1964, there's a triple die reverse as well, so no shortage. This one's a little clearer with split serifs in the T. This whole S, there's clear separation there. Both T's have this kind of doubling, and then a little bit also in the F's. So a good coin, $850 for a Proof 67. Next, we go to a repunched Mitmark nickel, 1968 S proof, and there's going to be a protrusion to the right, especially in the top serif out of the kind of northeast side of the S. Proof 65 is $100, and Proof 67 is $500. 1969 S has another repunched Mitmark nickel. This one kind of protruding out of the sides. Just clear separation. It's very clear that this one is doubled, and the value's $125 to $250. It's not doubled, but it has been repunched. Essentially, when they punched the S, it didn't take, so they had to do it again, and that's how the repunching happens. Then we go to the 1971 S, and there's a double die reverse. It's best seen in the right side of the lettering in Monticello, clearly in the O, and then as well as the right parts of the L, a little bit in the E, a little bit in the C, and then in E pluribus unum, also some doubling in the bottom serifs of the M. So this one, good coin to look for, $75 in Proof 65, $250 in Proof 67. Then we go to the no S, which is one of the more significant types. Basically, all of the proofs, I think from 1968 and on, were with the S mint mark, and what happened is some of them forgot to have the S mint mark. They didn't punch it in, and they're quite rare, and they're worth between $800 and $3,000. And it's a lot easier to get deep cameo coins. Obviously, any of the ones previously, if they were cameo, those will raise the values even more. But yeah, $800 for a regular one, and these get found from time to time, and that's always exciting. 1990, there's a double die obverse. And this one's interesting. You can see it with some clear doubling in the bottoms of the W. I think that that's really the best place to look for it. And Proof 65, it's $300, and all the way up to $700 in Proof 69. Our last coins for today are not proof, but I guess that they're just a different type of strike, and these are matte Jefferson nickels, and they were released in sets in 1994 and 1997. They're not worth quite as much if they're circulated, because you might not even tell that they're matte, but they are a different striking type. They were released again in special sets that were, I think one of them was like a Robert F. Kennedy. Forget exactly what the sets were, but they're worth like $20 to $35, so don't spend a coin from this date if you think that it looks matte. That concludes it. So many different kind of cool, varied, different types of varieties and errors that we went through. So good luck finding it, and I hope that you make some successful finds. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and get in touch with me on my website, treasuretown.yt.com, Facebook, Treasuretown, Instagram @TreasuretownYT, or Twitter @Treasuretown_YT, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my future vids.